A really big welcome to the Salon Chat Room podcast with Angeline Hayden, founder of Midas Customer Service Training and Salon Solutions, and Kerry Humphreys, founder of Locate Your Look. Please help us welcome our guests for today. We are sure you'll be suitably entertained and learn something new and inspiring about our amazing industry. And welcome back to the Salon Chat Room podcast. So we have a guest today, Marc Jay. Marc Jay is an inspirational life coach. He has a question for you. Are you ready to take the first step to an extraordinary life? Well, he can help you get past what is stopping you. So please welcome Marc Jay. So hello, everybody, and welcome to the Salon Chat Room podcast. Now, our guest today, Marc Jay, inspirational life coach. Now, we're going to talk to Marc about his journey to where he is today. And also, we're going to talk about how he is going to help you get past what is stopping you. So welcome, Marc Jay.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, ladies, for inviting me onto your show. It's a great pleasure. Really, really is.
Thank you. So, give us a bit of information, Marc. Tell us your journey, how you got to where you are.
Okay.
Take it away.
If I do it backwards, it will become quite apparent for your listeners and your viewers that, you know, I've been in the industry, your industry, our industry for a similar amount of time. Fortunately, I've got a blurred lens and I'm much older than you ladies. So if I can get away with that. But my journey now is about helping people. I've the whole of my life been involved in things which will become apparent where I help people. And that is the main essence of it. And now what's happened since lockdown, there was a transformation, and I'm feeling now that I've been able to put all my time and energy into helping people get past, I call it one of my first strategies is to get past the wall, to help them get past what's stopping them achieving what they want to stop. And there's 100 million reasons.
I was going to say that could be anything, couldn't it?
It could be anything.
Could be yeah.
Yeah. I felt,
haven't we, at some point in our lives?
Yeah. And there isn't anybody that hasn't got a story, but many people are afraid to tell their story. It's like that old scenario. If we're all together having a glass of wine and somebody gets a karaoke mic out, someone will snatch the microphone because they want their 5 minutes of fame. But if you know, say, Kerry is a really good singer because you caught her, but I say, "Here, Kerry, here's the microphone." You go, "Oh, no, don't. I'm not singing." Because people,
that's definitely me.
Pushing people, as well. Pushing people forward and putting them on the platform to say, "Hey," but what's happened of late is now giving people the courage and making them brave to step forward. And this goes back to men as well, not just ladies, to men. The big thing about mental health, the big thing about being brave and coming out of yourself. So that's where all my energy now is pushed towards helping people. I have to get over a hurdle of the reason I'm not a millionaire hairdresser is because I said one day very early on in my career that if I could cut hair for nothing, I would. And that stayed with me and been brought up many a time in conversation. It was put in a local paper and a national paper got hold of it. The News of the World, believe it or not. I had a very small article back in 1981 in the News of the World. I think it was 81 anyway, where I'd done this little quote because I'd done this thing for charity. And I said, "Oh, if I could do hairdressing for free, I would." And my God, has it stuck with me? The amount of people that went, "Oh, will you cut my hair for nothing?"
We've all got to be careful what we say, haven't we?
Yeah. So, you know, you learn your lessons, you fall down 7 and you get up 8. That's one of my favorite sayings. And so that's what I do now. So whether it be, I had to be a little bit careful because I want to help so many people. You know, I've had my fair share of relationships, but I'm not an expert, so I wouldn't deal with divorce or marital. I've had several businesses, so I can help people start a business, or if they've got business problems. I've dealt a lot with stress. I've dealt a lot with insecurity, self-belief, giving up smoking, getting fit, weight loss, weight gain, bulimia. So there's quite a few subjects that are core that I've had plenty of experience.
And I suppose, Mark, you know, a lot of these subjects are actually intertwined with each other.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about dieting, you know, that can sort of prolong depression if you're not getting a hold of your dieting, you know, and that can perhaps increase your negativity. So they kind of interlink with each other, would you say? Yeah,
definitely. Talking to a lady just before Christmas, I do an introductory free phone call, and we were chatting, and they're normally about 20 minutes, but I didn't have another call booked after, and we were on the phone for an hour. And when I dug deep, this lady that had wanted to take me on just to put us straight where diet was concerned and some fitness was concerned, she was suffering from some serious mental abuse. It went right back 30 years ago from her first husband spending 11 years telling her she was fat, ugly and useless. And it's like a paradigm. You know, paradigm is a group of habits, and when you collect a group of habits with a paradigm and you make it consistent, it becomes believable. It's like a liar. If they lie to themselves and to other people regularly enough, eventually to them it becomes true.
So on the flip side of that, if you make your habits good, then you can rely on those habits to stay with you. Would you say? Yeah,
exactly. You've got it dead right. So basically what you do is you just go into someone's psyche, look at their subconscious rather than their conscious, because, and then just through a series of questions, you can normally, and now we have the beauty of Zoom with body language, you can normally get to the bottom of things in a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes.
Yes.
And, you know, in our life, ladies, we both know, the three of us know that standing behind the chair, dealing with the general public, we are experts at reading people. How do you want your hair? Well, I've never coloured it. She's got a colour on her hair, and she's lying to me. Does she think I'm an idiot? You know, so we get to read people from a very early age in our business. So, but that's what I do now.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's all a matter of turning your mindset and believing in yourself, really, isn't it? Because, as I say, we all suffer in some way down the line. We don't all suffer with the same negatives, but there is certain things. Yeah,
there's normally a trigger as well, and that becomes apparent. And sometimes people don't even know what the trigger is. They don't even know themselves. They'll think it's one thing, or their friends will tell them.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
And it's made me go deeper. I've done some NLP many years ago, so I've really got that going, and I'm back into me NLP. For your viewers, neuro-linguistic programming. It's about how the body and the mind work together, which is very deep. But if you just Google NLP, you get an array of things that come up. But that's very, very big at the moment. But my journey started when I was 10, when I cut my little sister's hair off. She had beautiful long blonde hair. And my older brother used to date a hairdresser that used to come every Sunday and do my mum's hair. And I would sit cross-legged in front of my mum and watch her do her hair. So Brenda would come and do mum's hair. And one day my mum said, right, I put some sweets in a bowl for your sister. She's watching cartoons. I'm just going to, and it was a corner shop, literally 50 yards away. So I'll be 10 minutes. And there was those kitchen scissors. And I thought, I can do what Brenda does. I can do what.
This is all Brenda's fault.
Yeah. And Joe had slightly longer hair than Kerry's. And for the viewer's point of view, my sister ended up with a short back and sides, side parting, little short hair. She loved it. My dad, my mum had to protect me from my dad killing me for about 2 weeks because his little princess didn't have any hair left.
Oh, goodness.
But that was the beginning of that was it. That sparked it. There's nothing in my family way back. No cousins, no great aunties or uncles, but I wanted to be a hairdresser. My aunt.
Do you have a more creative nature, Mark? Is that, You know, because sometimes we think about hairdressers being incredibly creative people.
Yeah. I think that I was useless at school. So I used to Skype school and go and work at Brenda's salon on a Friday and a Saturday. And I was one of those unlucky. It didn't happen very often, but the school board came round my mum and dad's house. And these two overweight men with bald heads and cigarettes came and said, could we speak to
in those days,
Mr. and Mrs. And they came in, and my dad thought they were the police. And what's he done? And he said, well, we'd just like to tell you that he's been absent from school 64 days of this year because of, but I got away with it because it was crazy. I was following a career. Yeah. Because I wasn't out scratching cars or breaking in and throwing stones at windows or anything like that. I was following a career. So I think I started a sort of a thing where, you know, when school board came round, if you guys remember, you had to go and see the careers officer. What do you want to be? I said, well, I want to be a ladies' hairdresser. And he said, what do you want to do as a real job? And that's how the conversation ended, with his 20 number 6 flicking a cigarette in an ashtray in front of me and all the smoke was going on. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, so the sovereign girl.
Here we go. We'll give this sovereign, Rothmans, and then Marlborough, 20 Marlborough. Get my voice a bit lower because I speak really high sometimes. So I went off on this journey. My aunt was my drama teacher, and she desperately wanted to be an actor. So I went to drama school while I was doing my apprenticeship. I worked for a company called Glenby International. They sent me to New York. I did 9 months in Manhattan. I came back and I wanted to make a film. But that wasn't, no, I was just really buzzing on a high.
Yeah.
And then the next 25 years were, I opened my first salon when I was 23 and built that up, sold that, moved on to my second salon. I've had 4 salons. The last one being here on the island. I started with a small salon, but grew it into something big. That wasn't the plan. It was just the nature of it. And I turned it into like a loft apartment salon with all brick and wood over 3 floors. Through this time, I've been working on my own cutting technique because, as you guys know, we've had the same style of teaching in our colleges for now some 75, nearly 80 years. So I set out to develop my own cutting technique. That took me 20 years. I formulated and launched my own cutting technique. I took it to the government. They didn't want to buy it because I can actually teach people how to cut hair in 6 weeks. A basic haircut with my formula, the Marc Jay cutting technique. So I patented it and opened an academy here on the island. Sadly, no one wants to learn anything on the island. So the only students I got lived in Portsmouth and Southampton. So it wasn't viable because they were having to spend money to travel over to the island to come to the academy. So I had to lower the prices and it just wasn't viable. So the academy ran for 2 years. And a few of my friends that are in the hair council were absolutely amazed with when I opened it. A couple of them came. When I told them I'd only had 3 students in the first 3 months, they went, what? I couldn't believe. She said, what? You're almost giving it away for £699 for a 3-month course, you know, where Sassoon on an equal course was charging, I think at the time, $6,500. But anyway, so, and then I downsized because I had a really bad injury with my knee. So I downsized to a tiny salon. That still made me busy. We got to COVID last year. I sold the salon, sat there one day. It was pouring with rain like it is today. And I was just staring out the window. And all of a sudden, I call it my thunderbolt moment. It was like all the pieces of my life jigsaw puzzle floated down in front of me and went together like the Matrix. And I thought, I've got to be a motivational coach. I can do this. Amazing. And I drew on my 4 people that were the influence in my life, which was, one was Harold Layton. I don't know if you guys remember Harold. Harold Layton? Ring the bells? He was the inventor of the round brush. He worked in Harrods. He worked for Glenby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you Google Harold Layton. So I was Harold's junior for nearly a year. And he used to, he endorsed this saying in me, never give up. So that's my hashtag now on LinkedIn, and everything you see is hashtag never give up.
We like that.
Yeah. It's with me. And I now say it as much as he did when I was a kid. You know, I used to say, oh, Harold, okay. He went, listen, boy, just call me boy, never give up. Doesn't matter what anybody says, never give up. So that's tattooed on my brain. Yeah. I did martial arts for 20 years because I was severely bullied when I was a kid. So I did that in the back, and I spent 20 years with a sensei, a kung fu instructor, Bobby Lai. That wasn't his real name. I think that was just, they did theirself, like Elvis Presley and his little Chinese man that's got a Chinese restaurant, but he calls himself Elvis. Bobby was my next influence. He was a massive inspiration to me because he got me out of a dark place where I was badly bullied. And my next quote for you guys is, when I went there, he said to me, okay, Mark, why you want to learn Kung Fu? I said, well, I get really badly bullied and beaten up. I want to learn how to hurt the boys back. He goes, no, if it's easy to hurt people, first you must learn how to heal people. And that now, it still gives me goosebumps when I say it, because
that's a very powerful message.
And now more apparent than anything else, it's really easy to hurt somebody, but it's so difficult, to heal somebody. So that's what I'm trying to do with my Never Give Up and help people. In 1985, I was in America on holiday and I met Tony Robbins.
I love Tony.
Then I didn't know what a life coach was. And my cousin said, I said, right, what are we doing today? He said, well, we're going to go to this really cool shopping mall. And then after lunch, we're going to go and see a life coach. And I went, what's a life coach? Training? He went, no, it's different. So we paid our $50 and we went along and we watched Tony, and this 6'7" guy came out with all this teeth and, hi, let me hear you say it, and he he encouraged all these people to walk across hot coals, and he cured this guy of a stutter. And I just sat there with my mouth open for like nearly 2 hours like this. And that stuck with me. And afterwards you go to get an autograph or your picture, and he had audio discs because we didn't have phones and all that and CDs then. And I went to get my autograph, and it was like a minute of my life that I can remember, like my quotes. I managed to barge through to get through to this guy, and he towered above everybody else. And I said, can I get an autograph? And I said, yeah. And I got pushed forward, and all of a sudden he looked at me and went, hi. Because he's got that really,
Yeah.
And he said, what's your name? I said, it's Mark. And he went, what do you do? I said, everything went numb in my ears. I couldn't hear the other thousands of people around me. It was like when you come out of a disco, And I went, I cut ladies' hair. He went, are they happy? And I said, yeah, I think so, yeah. He went, do they come back? And I went, yeah. And he put his hand on my shoulder. He went, you have something. And his hand was hot. It wasn't hot and sweaty. It was like hot poker. And as I came away and everybody else was getting in there, and actually I got about 50 meters away, and this was the bit. When I got about 50 meters away, I looked back, and he looked back exactly at the same time. When you say goodbye to your boyfriend, you're bye, darling, bye. And you look back and they're not looking back. He looked back right at that minute. And that's when the thunderbolt came across and went boom. And he just looked back and he went like that. And that, I didn't know, but that was like,
so that was a nod of approval.
Yeah, that was my hand, the hand of Tony Robbins saying, one day, fella, one day.
Isn't it funny, Mark, that we just need those to an onlooker, they are tiny, tiny things that have happened, but the significance to you who was witnessing them,
Angeline,
and especially where you were on your journey, meant the change of a lifetime. I think there are a lot of people out there that actually do have those thunderbolt moments.
I don't know it.
I've had them myself. Yeah. And it led me to do something else that, I was, that I wasn't doing at the time. And that was the teaching. And I found my calling. I absolutely love teaching. I really do. So,
but if I'd have said to you 30 years ago, you're going to be a teacher, you'd go, oh, don't be silly. I can't teach. What do I know about teaching? And then all of a sudden you gain experience, you gain confidence, and then it happens, and you're there.
And then you do look back and think, why didn't I do this years ago? You get that sort of...
it's one of them things, isn't it? So I've been in the industry for 34 years, but I always felt there was something else out there for me to do. So with you, Mark, you had 4 different salons. So 4 times you sort of kind of had one, gave it up, had one, gave it up. A bit like myself. So I always knew there was something deep down that there was something else calling me. Did you get that?
Exactly. And that's why if you were to go onto my website, I've made a film of my life story. It's only 4 minutes.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah, if you go on to
what's your website, Mark?
Okay, marcjayonline.com.
marcjayonline.com.
Yeah, really easy. Yeah. And there's my story. So there's a bio like we have in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I also got together with a really good friend of mine and we made a film. And there's all snippets and, you know, and when I actually look back when we'd done the basic core before we'd edited it, I actually cried.
Yeah.
Because I've told my story like we all have as hairdressers. I've told my story 1,000 times. But when I actually watched it back with a bit of music in the background that gives you like goosey bumps, you know, and Sue, my partner, said to me, "You all right?" And I went, "Cool, this has got me. That I've really done all that." And it was an amazing shock to think, God, we take our lives for granted.
I think also when you are on the path, okay, and Kerry is on it, I'm on it, loads of people out there on it, you are quite blinkered and you don't really appreciate what you've actually achieved.
No.
And to somebody looking in, they are going to go, wow, Mark, I've seen your video. I've seen where you've been, your journey. You are in itself an inspirational life coach. And you should be extremely proud of that.
Thank you. Thank you. That really means a lot. Thank you. It's funny. A guy ages ago, when I first joined LinkedIn, he said to me, just in a message, what qualifications do you have? And I'd already known and done my homework that some people, I said, I've been to the university. I've got the degree of life, the University of Life. You know, you can't buy 40 years. You can't buy that.
Agree.
Sorry?
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
You just can't buy that.
And that's why.
You have to educate yourself, really, don't you?
Yeah. And if you look now, we're all, you know, having to use media. And if you look at it, there's hundreds of thousands, even in this short period. I'll call it short. It feels like 10 years. But since COVID started and everybody's had to go online, I've seen people come and go. You know, I'm in this for the long game because I'm always going to be helping people. But going back to very, very quickly, Kerry, just to round it up, going back to what you said, the stopping and starting in that, which is why I did these other things, which becomes apparent in my little video. I was a DJ when I was a kid. I did my martial arts. I was a DJ. I got everything I do. I throw 101% at it.
Yeah.
I got onto Jazz FM and I even got onto Radio London and I wanted it. And I thought, what was I doing? Playing music, making people happy, answering questions, making people laugh. I've done my acting. I've done theatre, mainly comedy and film. But then I got a couple of parts on TV and a couple of parts in films.
So
and
still
then,
a highly creative journey. Still,
it's again entertaining, doing something for other people.
Yeah.
And then I got into bodybuilding because when I was on holiday with the same cousin, I went and saw and met. Well, no one could pronounce his name then because he hadn't really got into the movie business. I said to my cousin, "Where are we going today?" He said, "Oh, we're going to Muscle Beach." I said, "Oh, right, okay." I said, "That's where all those pretty girls go up and down in bikinis on roller skates, isn't it?" And we're not going there for that. We're going to see Arnold Salt and Pepper or something. Anyway, it's this guy with really big arms. So we went along and saw Arnie and he took his T-shirt
amazing.
off. And I just went,
yeah.
And I managed to queue up and get my photo. So in the safe, I have a photo of me and Arnie with his arm around my shoulders. So I met Arnold. So when I came back, I gave up the martial arts and I started natural bodybuilding. And I got into natural bodybuilding, which got me back to school, which then made me become a nutritionist. And then I started competing. And as an old geezer, I got onto the British Championships and came fourth against guys half my age.
Wow.
And it's that achievement. There's pictures on the website. That achievement is when I look back and I look at scary pictures of me with 4% body fat naturally. When someone says to me, "How did you get body fat down?" I said, "What do you have for breakfast?" And they go, "Cornflakes." I said, "Well, we need to have a serious talk because you know, there's losing a bit of weight and there's trying to get body fat down, you know?"
Yeah.
So exactly what you said, Kerry, I was constantly reaching out to see, is that what I'm meant to do? Or is that what I'm meant to do? And now what's happened now, it's all come together like a jigsaw and I'm doing it all.
So all of those experiences and things and challenges and ups and downs has led you to where you are now.
Exactly.
which is what we truly believe, because without the journey, you wouldn't have the experience of being where you are now and appreciating it. Yeah. But also, Mark, do you not find with people who are influenced by other people are usually good influencers themselves. Would you? Yeah,
totally.
I think that.
Yeah, just to pick on one lady, which I did ask her permission and her parents' permission, and then she agreed to go on to my website oh, sorry, I'm tired. What's the word when someone says something? Testament. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you. Yeah, she's one of my testimonials, and she won't mind me. I talk about her all the time now. Little Charlie. I met her when she was a teenager. She already had eating problems, and she used to love coming to the salon because I'd always spend more time with her and talk to her about, you know, what she should be eating and stuff. And she always listened to me. Yeah. And her mum used to say, oh, I love bringing her here because we go home and, oh, Mark said this and Mark said that. But then she found out her dad wasn't her biological dad, and she hit bulimia, got worse. And then she went over to anorexia. She went down to like 5.5 stone and she was just barely about living. And so I stepped in and I've worked with her as a coach, but as a friend to begin with. And Charlie now is healthy, fit, more or less. She's off all the drugs and she's on. And I said to her just before Christmas, I said, Charlie, what do you want to do? She went, I want to be an inspirational coach. She said, I want to be like you. I want to tell people my story. Yeah. She said, because I think it will help lots of people like me. And I just it brought tears to my eyes.
Who better to tell a story than somebody who has been there and experienced that negativity and move forward and learn from it, because we do learn from our mistakes, don't we? Unfortunately. Definitely. But I mean, we're talking about negativity.
Call them mistakes. I call them more experiences.
Yeah.
I so it's like sort of kind of mistakes.
What if you were going to give our audience 3 tips or pieces of advice of how to deal with negativity? Maybe somebody who's struggling with negativity, and can't seem to shift that mindset. What would you say, apart from coming to see you, Mark? But maybe if they were to try and deal with it themselves, what would you say?
Okay. For some unknown reason, and let's call it fate, being with you two today is wonderful. I just done a post to do with gratitude. And I've asked people to just look around to what they have, because unbeknown to a lot of people, they do take for granted. They have parents, they have a loving sister or brother, they have a job, they have a pet, they have great friends, they have so much. They have 2 hands, 2 legs, and they're relatively healthy. Yeah. To take that for granted is commonplace. Yeah. So what I say, my first tip is just stop for a moment and look around at what you have and be grateful for what you have. And it really does, the feedback I've had from the couple of posts I've done on LinkedIn and Instagram, the messages people that have sent me back already about, my God, I needed that this morning because I thought I was coming to my wit's end. And then I looked around and saw, I've got a beautiful house. I've got 2 beautiful children. I've got a loving husband. Yeah. I know we're in a pandemic at the moment, but I've really got a lot. What am I moaning about? Yeah. So have gratitude. Just stop for a moment, take a breath and look around. Secondly, I will turn around and say anything is achievable. As long as you don't say silly things like I want to be an astronaut, but even that's achievable. Well, anything is achievable. And for your viewers, you've only got to look at us 3. We are pure examples of ages and ages ago, we were just hairdressers. Even that was a massive skill. That's a craft. That's a gift. Yeah. But look what we're doing now. We're putting it out there to help those people that are willing to watch and listen to us. So anything is achievable. You just have to have the right mindset. Great. And last but not least, never give up. Because when my boss used to say that to me as a kid, it never really meant that much. But when I look back now, so I can't say that with any more heart and passion that I have, is to say to people, never give up. Because I've met a lot of people that have nearly given up, but they've listened to me and now they're flying high. And that's where I get my energy from. I'm passionate about never giving up.
Amazing. So the direction of not giving up and taking a different direction, where's that sort of kind of twine So you start on the road, like I was saying to you, Mark, we've all gone on different roads in our life. How do you recognise that you're not actually giving something up, you're actually choosing a different direction?
Okay. I have a strategy which I was using as one of my strategies, but I put it out there on my website. Goal searching is the thing. People don't actually write it down, and it's great for the conscious and the subconscious mind to actually put it on paper. A good example of this very quickly is when I was a kid, I used to want to learn the words to my favourite tune on Top of the Pops. So I used to write them down and pause my cassette, then write them down. By the time I'd written the whole song, I knew the song because my subconscious mind had learned it. And my father used to say, "Cool, only if you could do that with your schoolwork." Cool, blimey, but I wasn't interested in that. And I think, so goal searching is the first thing. And then once you have these goals and you have them written down, please, if you can hear us squeaking in the background, the puppy's in her cage. I do forgive it.
Lovely.
Yeah, she thinks she's alone, and so she's saying, "Please let me out." But she'll quiet down and say, goal setting is so once you've written down, even if it's only 4 goals, people are frightened to reach out. Like a lady the other day, she said, "Well, I'd really like to work with dolphins." I gave her a contact number of a friend of mine in Florida, and when we're allowed to travel again, she's already got an invite. I mean, it took a little bit more than that, but she said, "Well, on my list, I've got, this is silly." And I said, "Don't tell me." She said, "I put work with dolphins. Anything is achievable." So you just have to goal search, write it down, and then that's the beginning. That's your first step. But you have to have passion. You have to have ambition. Yeah. You can't teach that or give that to anybody. Yeah. You have to have ambition. Me, I was like a train. I'm like my puppy. If the door was open, I was in there. Going to Salon, well, they call it Salon, but the hair exhibition that they never used to call Salon. But going back and standing in front of the Sassoon stand, and my boss said, "Just stand here, just stand here." And the girl went, they didn't have little microphones, they had microphones they held. And she said, "Right, would anybody like to step up and do a section?" I was up there. They tried to grab the back of my collar, but I was up there. So you have to have...
That's about enthusiasm, Mark, isn't it? And who doesn't love an enthusiastic person? We do. Exactly. But we're not all like that. But we could be like that.
You could be. It's in everybody. It is in everybody.
If we just step forward.
Yeah. So all I say is to your viewers, just find yourself someone positive, whether it's a coach or a friend, but spend time around someone that is not scared, that's brave, that's courageous, that has ambition.
Because it rubs off, doesn't it?
It does definitely rub off. Yeah. They say if you watch EastEnders for 2 weeks, you'll be negative. Right? If you watch something like David Attenborough and This World, you'll go, "Wow, I didn't know those creatures really existed."
So surround yourself with positive people and people who perhaps you look up to because they will inspire you. Yeah, amazing. I mean, those 3 tips, they are simple, they're effective, and they are a starting block for quite a lot of people. Yeah. So we really, really appreciate that, Mark. And we know that our listeners and our audience are really going to think deep and hard about what they're doing now. And perhaps you are going to be the sole reason why they move forward and they look to something positive. And we really hope that that's going to happen. But I think Kerry and I both know the answer to that.
Bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Marc Jay.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Thanks for putting up with me.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A big thank you to our guests today for giving up their time to share their own salon industry journeys. Don't forget to sign up to our channels so you don't miss out on the amazing guests we have lined up just for you. Big love from Kerry Humphreys, founder of Locate Your Look, and Angeline Hayden, founder of Midas Customer Service Training and Salon Solutions. See you next time on the Salon Chat Room podcast.